this weekend, my wife and I had a nice little getaway, and our hotel we stayed at had this relic of the past, NASCAR Racing, the arcade game. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen this at some point in your life, whether that be in a movie theater, an arcade, something, and I've got to play it. But if you haven't, this is kind of how it went for me. Now, there's a few different versions of this. This is not like a highly detailed review type thing where I'm going to look up all the makes and models. I'm just going to tell you about my experience with this game, what I know about it, and what it was like playing it this weekend. I will go ahead and apologize for the not amazing video quality. It's kind of hard to record. As you can see, it's not the best lighting and everything. My wife was holding the camera on this part of the video at least, but there's a couple different versions of the NASCAR racing arcade game. This version is loaded with what I believe to be the 2007 game on it, like just the roster. As you can see, we're racing Michael Waltrip in the 55 Dodge Napa car. This game is kind of based off NASCAR 05. It's got the soundtrack for 05 in it, and the original versions that you play are basically the 2005 game. But this version seems to be updated with the 07 rosters, which is pretty crazy. I don't think I had seen this exact version before. But when you go ahead and put your coins in, you're given 12 drivers to pick from. We'll scroll through all of them here. It's mainly just the big teams. There's a lot of different cars that you're racing against, but you only get to pick from these 12. So that's kind of disappointing, but I guess I understand it. But the thing is, there's a countdown timer on the top right, so it wants you to hurry up because it wants more people to put quarters in. You can pick between automatic and manual transmission. I like choosing manual because it's just more fun on these racing games to feel like you're grabbing a gear, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I did feel maybe a little faster, but I also felt like I was more prone to maybe being in the wrong gear when I chose manual. There are also 6 tracks to pick from in the game. They kind of range from easy to hard. You have Daytona, Talladega, Lowe's, Indianapolis, Phoenix, and Bristol. It's kind of a weird choice of tracks here, but I mean, they're all fun to play. I have seen versions with Watkins Glen as the harder one. So when you get on track, I will say this version of the cabinet was running a little janky. The game was too powerful for the hardware. It was just kind of it was chugging a little bit, and it looked like the frame drops were pretty massive. You can probably see that yourself, but the game looks nice, but it just seemed like it was running a little rough. But once you get out on track, the green flag comes out, and each race is kind of timed the same. Depending on what race you do, the amount of laps determines. It's going to be around a 3.5 minute race. But you essentially start in last, and your goal is to get all the way to the front. Now, no matter what track you're at, you are going to be trying to draft and get boost. And as soon as your boost meter fills, if you pull out like a slingshot, then you're going to have this big run, and it's whatever. There's a lot of rubber banding in this game. If you were to get to the lead way early, you would basically get passed back pretty quick. And that essentially goes throughout the field. If you get up kind of towards the front and you don't really have a drafting partner, you'll still be closing in on the cars in front of you, but the cars behind you are going to get a massive run. The game feels okay. My arcade I was playing at, the wheel was just a little janky, and it wasn't amazing, but I made do with it. The AI cars are just a little random. Like, you'll come up on a huge pack so much faster than them, and they'll block you, and you'll have nowhere to go, because if you go on the apron, you'll slow down, and this game is really all about keeping your momentum up, and the AI cars are just really, really random. You'll notice that the sounds from the game are basically from NASCAR 2005. The crew chief spotter is the same as NASCAR 05, 06, 07, so you'll be pretty used to seeing them. There's a few weird things with the cars you're racing, like Casey Mears in the 42, and it's got the white background on his car. Brian Vickers has like the Joe Nemechek, Jerry Nadeau number font thing. There also is a timer at the very top of the screen, like a checkpoint, and it resets every lap that you hit. I never ever came close to not being able to complete the lap, so that's something you really don't need to worry about unless you crash. You can spin the AI cars if you run into the back of them too much. As you can see, I'm plowing through them right here. I didn't record all of my gameplay, but you can spin them out, and that really does hinder your progress. The more difficult tracks like Phoenix and Bristol are more difficult. It is a lot harder to get to the front because there's just nowhere for you to go. At Daytona and Talladega, it's easy because there's more room for you to get by. And even then, I found it a lot more of a challenge. I did find myself shifting down to third in a lot of these corners because if I went in fourth gear and braked or lifted, it wouldn't let me have a lot of RPMs when I got back to the gas. So I just put it in third gear, kind of be on the chip, and then shift to fourth, and it would be a lot better for me than if I was in fourth. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this game. I probably spent about $6 or $7 on it, at least. And I wish I would have recorded more, but it was really fun. It's always fun going to these places in Branson, Missouri, or any arcade game place and finding one of these because they're just so much fun to play, and it's just kind of a look back at what EA used to do with the NASCAR license. These games are fun. I remember playing one, the '05 version, at an FFA convention in high school, and it was so much fun, and it was a two-player. You could race against another person, and I would compete for t-shirts and stuff, and I normally won most of the time. And it's always been a fun game. It's never been a realistic simulation. And when you have an arcade game like this, that's not the point. You want it to be fun and accessible for everybody, especially kids that are going to come up and play it. And I think that's what this game is. It's unfortunate that nothing like this exists anymore, unless you go and find an old one at any of your arcades. And even those are getting harder and harder to come by because they don't make the parts for this anymore. But if you do happen to find one, at least put in $1. Go have some nostalgic fun and enjoy what once was a really good racing franchise. These games are very hard to come by now, and they're a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little video on me and my experience with one in Branson this weekend on my vacation. And I really had a good time with it, and I hope you can too if you find one. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Forty.